Hey everyone, this is Riddle Helper Asia Raven and welcome to the latest Geekiary News Briefs video where I quickly go over some of the stuff that happened in geek and pop culture as a whole so that you guys have something to talk about on your radar. So let's start. I'm going to begin this video by talking about this weekend's box office. Detective Pikachu debuted in the US and unfortunately it wasn't able to beat Avengers Endgame at the US box office. It came in second. However, Detective Pikachu did end up becoming the highest opening for a live action adaptation of a game franchise. It beat out Tomb Raider, which starred Angelina Jolie way back. And Detective Pikachu, it's a fun film. However, its Rotten Tomato score isn't good, but it did get an A- cinema score, so you can see that the audience really liked it, even though most of the critics didn't. We did a written review of this for the Geekiary, so make sure to check that out. Detective Pikachu debuted at the box office with $54 million, and it came in second to Avengers Endgame, which had a weekend gross of $63.2 million. Now, currently, Avengers Endgame stands at $723.7 million at the domestic box office. It has beaten Titanic, and it's now only like $300 million away from dethroning Avatar as the highest grossing film ever. Of course, not adjusted for inflation, but still. So it will be interesting to see if Avengers Endgame is capable of beating James Cameron Avatar, and James Cameron is working on sequels for Avatar, so let's see if a sequel for Avatar is even able to do as high numbers as Avatar, and maybe Avatar 2 might be the film that defeats Avengers Endgame if it does indeed get to the top. On 17 May, John Wick 3 is going to be released, and I'm really looking forward to watching this film, especially because I am a fan of the John Wick franchise, and also it's good to have franchises that aren't necessarily based on comic books, and of course it stars Halle Berry, so I will be watching it. So it will be interesting to see if John Wick 3 is able to beat Avengers Endgame at the box office or not. It's currently tracked at opening with like around 38 to 35 million, so let's see what happens. Talking about movies, apparently today was X-Men Day, whatever that's supposed to mean, but I mean, as far as my opinion goes, it just feels like a very poor gimmick by 20th Century Fox to try and hopefully sell more tickets for Dark Phoenix, because today is the day that tickets for Dark Phoenix were made available, and in order to make it an entire thing, they made up this X-Men Day, and I'm like, what's the significance of May 13 for the X-Men franchise? It's not like the first ever X-Men comic book was published on 13 May. Like the first X-Men film was released in June of 2000. So what's the deal with May 13 other than you just wanting people to perhaps buy a ticket to Dark Phoenix? I wrote an entire ranty article about it for the Geekiary, so make sure to check that out, because for me, when the X-Men film started, they were fun. They really showed Hollywood that money can be made on from comic book movies, and yeah, I enjoyed them. But as the series moved on or continued, I kind of saw that it was only focusing on white mutants. Like we had Professor X, we had Jean, we had Cyclops, while the mutants of color like Storm and Jubilee, Jubilee, we all know what they did with Jubilee, and Storm, they ruined Storm. The live action series really ruined Storm, who was such an amazing character in the comic books and even in the animated series, especially the X-Men animated series. So, yeah, and even now we have the Dark Phoenix coming up, which is again about special white Jean Grey, even though we already have watch this film or this entire saga be butchered in X-Men Last Stand. And for those of you who think that Dark Phoenix is going to do justice to the awesome iconic Phoenix saga from the comic books, yeah, that's not going to happen. So again, it's a film about white mutants, white mutant problems, while Storm and other characters, and especially Storm, again, yeah, you can tell that I'm a huge Storm fan, but still the point remains, the Storm has been nothing except a token African American woman character in a franchise that has been going on for more than 20 years now, and that's just sad. That's just disappointing to me. Talking about Marvel stuff, Anthony Oliveira tweeted that he is delighted to finally be able to say that at art of Nick Robles, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, was my artist on our Marvel War of the Realms Wiccan Hulkling story, My Drag Brunch with Loki. So if you guys have been following what I write online, I did an entire article about how excited I am to read a Hulkling and Wiccan story in the upcoming War of Realms War Scrolls issue number 2. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of Wiccan and Hulkling, and I'm so happy to get a new story featuring them. So Nick Robles, he's the artist, and I'll have some samples of his art around the screen. Yeah, he has some gorgeous work. He has done work for Boom Studios, not Boom Studio, yeah, the Boom Comics and Dark Horse. So I'm really excited to see what he does with Wiccan and Hulkling in the story. Talking about queer representation, it turns out that the PBS show, the animated show by the name Arthur, they ended up the new season premiere ended up showing a character, what's his name, Mr. Ratburn, and they showed his wedding to a chocolatier, and his name is Patrick, and it's an entire thing. It's a kids show. So I mean, Steven Universe showed this to us through Ruby and Sapphire. Then we have Arthur doing this. I mean, times are changing. Indya Moore ended up becoming the first transgender model on Elle's USA cover. Good for you, Indya Moore. Good for you. And I'm really excited for the return of Post Season 2. I'm still waiting for the trailer, but if you guys haven't watched Season 1, I guess it's available on Netflix. Just watch it. It's an amazing TV show. It's so diverse. It's a different kind of queer representation that we don't normally get to see on our TV screens. And I'm excited for Season 2, and I really hope that this show continues. The last thing we're going to talk about is the entire James Charles and Tati Westbrook drama, because I have been talking about positive examples of queer representation, and then on the other side, we have this entire drama. So it turns out that James Charles has been exposed for the problematic and alleged sexual predator that he is, and I'm like, y'all, many people, mostly people of color, have been telling you guys on social media about how problematic James Charles is, but as the world goes, there are people who end up excusing behaviors of pretty white boys, and there's so much that these white celebs can, so-called celebs, I guess, or white YouTubers can get away with just because their fandom just lets them do it. And yeah, that's what happened with James Charles. So Tati Westbrook ended up making this 40+ minute video telling everyone how problematic James Charles is, and yada yada yada. And when Tati Westbrook ended up talking about it, more people came in, and beauty drama aside, one of the most dangerous things that stood out for me was how James Charles allegedly uses his power and influence to actually turn straight people gay or bi or queer, and he like forces or blackmails them for sexual favors, and that's not right. That's predatory behavior, and that shouldn't be accepted at any level. So at least that's the thing that really, like, I was like, wow, James Charles, wow. So anyway, after Tati spoke up, Jeffree Star also talked about it. So turns out that Nathan, Jeffree Star's boyfriend, Nathan doesn't like James Charles either, and there's speculation that James Charles might have flirted with Nathan's younger brother. And Jeffree Star, he's a white YouTuber, and he has his own controversy as well, talking about racism and how he apologized, but he's not really changed, he's still racist. And you know what, that's an entire different topic. I'm not really involved in this entire YouTuber beauty thing, but I just had to talk about it because I wanted to tell you guys that there's still people like James Charles out there, and how much evilness, I guess, there is in the YouTubing community, and just because these people have a fandom, they think that they can get away with anything. So James Charles ended up doing like an 8-minute apology, in which like 4 minutes of him was just staying silent and trying to cry, and he has if I'm not wrong, he has deleted that apology. So everyone is still waiting to see what James Charles does. He is losing subscribers while Tati is increasing in her subscriber count. But still, I mean, yeah, of course there are still people who support James Charles. There will always be people who support such problematic people. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. I was like, might as well tell you guys about what's happening in the YouTube beauty community. Anyway, let me know if there was anything that you wanted me to talk about, and let me know about it down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys later.